Okay, Agun Erev Yom Tiv, Agun Erev Shabbos. Thank you everybody for joining today. Actually, for me it's a very big simcha, because this year we call Original Insights on Vzos Haberacha. I began Parshas Bereshis, and I didn't know how far it would carry. I didn't know how many original insights there would be. You know, just because you have an insight on Bereshis, it doesn't mean anything further will come. So I thank the Rebbeinu Shalom that we were able to carry this all the way through Vzos Haberacha. Actually, we're working on making a sefer out of the series of this Shiurim that we did this year. So I thank everybody for being mishtatev, and hope Be'ezus Hashem we should all be zoicha to greater understanding of Torah in the coming year. Okay, so the parsha begins Vzos Haberacha, and this is the blessing. So the first observation is, what do you mean and this? Why do I need the letter Vav? And this. Vzos. And this should just say Zos Haberacha. This is the bracha. Vzos implies that it's connected to what we said previously. So we want to explain as follows. It's connected to the previous pasuk. Previously it says, Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu, you could go up to the mountain, you'll see Eretz Yisrael, but don't go there, I'm going to give it to Bnei Yisrael. So just imagine a second. Moshe Rabbeinu is standing there with Bnei Yisrael. He goes up to the mountain. Hashem says, look, these guys are going to go in. You're not going to go in. How do you think you would feel, right? Imagine if you were in a situation where everyone is being given a benefit and you're being left out. Would you then have the generosity of spirit to turn around and bless these people? You might feel a certain tsaros ha'ayin, stinginess, to go turn around and then bless the people. But the Torah says, even though all of Klal Yisrael went into Eretz Yisrael, and Moshe Rabbeinu did not, Moshe Rabbeinu gave them a bracha, b'leiv of shalom, Vzos Haberacha, and this is the bracha. He did not have any feelings of tsaros ha'ayim when he gave that bracha. So perhaps that's the reason why we have the letter Vav there, indicating that he was not at all stingy in the bracha that he gave. Then the pasuk says, Kol kedoshav biyadecha, all of his holy ones in his hand. Says Rashi, this refers to the souls of the tzaddikim that are ganuz, that are deposited with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The pasuk says, Vzos Haberacha asher beirach Moshe ish halakim al bnei Yisrael lifnei Moshe vayomer Hashem misinai b'abzach mizer lama yavim asmuz v'yish tasavik af choyvev amim kol kedoshav biyadecha. So the question is, why all of a sudden, when Moshe Rabbeinu was giving a bracha, does he say, by the way, the souls of the tzaddikim are with Hashem? What does that have to do with anything? How does that fit into the context of what we're discussing? Moshe Rabbeinu is giving a Klal Yisrael bracha. Of what relevance is it that the souls of the tzaddikim are ganos with HaKadosh Baruch Hu? So we could say as follows. The pasuk previously says, Eish das lamai, that the Torah was written before HaKadosh Baruch Hu, with black fire on white fire. So it means the Torah existed up in Shamayim, black fire on white fire. We could say when Hashem gives the Torah to Klal Yisrael, that Torah always retains its original state of being lefanav, being in Hashem's presence. Since originally when the Torah was written, it was written in Shamayim, with black fire on white fire, so those who are makabel the Torah, they always retain the original state of the Torah, that it's before HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So anyone who learns the Torah, he acquires the ability to always be in the hands of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ganos Itai. Because since the Torah was Kasuv Lefanav, Eish Chayra Agabe Eish Levana, therefore those who learn the Torah will always be before HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Then the pasuk says, Vehim Tuku L'Raglecha. They are implanted, they are pegged in, they are imprinted, they are pegged into his feet. Rashi says they are worthy of this because they implanted themselves into the bottom of the mountain. Rashi, the Tzipsei Chaim says, Tuku is a lashon of within, taich. You could say that there's an idea that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu married Klal Yisrael, he did so, the Baal HaTurim says, Bekesef, Bishtar, Ubebiyah. Baal HaTurim even says the word Ve'avoya, and I will come upon her, is Gematria Bebiyah. So there was a Kinyan Ishus that Hashem made to Klal Yisrael. You could say this is Merumas in the Pasuk, Vehim Tuku L'Raglecha. So we could say like this, Rabbi Isai, the Pasuk says, Kol Kedoisha Biyadecha, the souls of the righteous are always in the hands of Hashem. But why are they always in the hands of Hashem? Why are the souls of the righteous in Hashem's hands even after a person dies? The answer is because Hashem married Klal Yisrael, and the responsibility of marriage is Haneh Havim B'chayehem Uvemoisam Lo Nefradu. The responsibility continues even after one spouse departs. Mamela, since God married us, therefore He's, so to speak, He's required for us to be in His domain forever and ever. Now the pasuk says, Shema Hashem Kol Yehuda. Says Rashi, Shema is a reference to Shemain. If you look in the bracha that Moshe Rabbeinu gave Klal Yisrael, he gave only a bracha to Ruvain. He didn't give Shimon a bracha. He gave to Ruvain, he gave to Levi, he gave to Yehuda. He skipped Shemain. Why did he skip Shemain? Says Rashi, there's a remez to Shemain in the word Shema. So to me it's always interesting that Shemain is always found within Yehuda. Where else do we find this? In Eretz Yisrael. In Eretz Yisrael, when Yehuda got a Yerusha, Shemain's Yerusha was within the boundaries of Yehuda. Why is Shemain always hanging out with Yehuda? His bracha is mentioned within the bracha of Yehuda. We could say as follows. You know, all 40 years, Yehuda's bones were rolling around. Why? Because he wanted to be Masakein Mechiras Yosef. How did he want to be Masakein Mechiras Yosef? He took upon him the responsibility. Let's say it as follows, Rabbi Isai. Let's say it like this. Why did the Shvatim sell Yosef? Who sold Yosef? Shemain. Why did Shemain? Why did he take the initiative to sell Yosef? He took the initiative to sell Yosef because he paskin Yosef was a Moirid b'Malchus Yehuda, and anyone who's Moirid b'Malchus should be thrown to the snakes and scorpions. So Shemain in selling Yosef was standing up for Malchus Yehuda. Memela, the reason why Yehuda even got involved in trying to take responsibility for Binyamin is to rectify the sin of Yosef. Therefore, we always find Shemain and Yehuda are hanging out together, because Shimon was the one who wanted to protect the Malchus of Yehuda. Okay, let's move on. It says Moshe went up from the plains of Moav to Har Nevai, to the top of the peak, facing Yerechai, and Hashem showed him the whole land. So I want to say a very important chiddush. The Gemara tells us in Rosh Hashanah there are 50 gateways of wisdom. Moshe Rabbeinu was given 49 except for one. However, we have a tradition that on the last day of Moshe Rabbeinu's life, he was given the 50th level of wisdom. How do I know that? Says the Shla, Vayal Moshe me'arvos Moav. He went on up from the plains of Moav. Moav is 49. El Har Nevai, Nun Bai. He went up to the 50th level. He went up to the 50th level. So now there's a principle that Eretz Yisrael is the land of Torah, and each chelek of the Torah corresponds to a different part of Eretz Yisrael. And if you master, let's say, one Masechta, you could get control over the part of Eretz Yisrael that corresponds to that Masechta. Memela, on the last day of Moshe Rabbeinu's life, he was zoichet to the whole Torah, all 50 levels. In that case, he could see and understand all of Eretz Yisrael. So you could say, Moshe went up from the Arvos Moav to Har Nevai. And when he went up to Har Nevai, God showed him the whole Eretz Yisrael, because now he's zoicha to understand all of Eretz Yisrael. Now, this is very interesting. By the way, I have two very chashuv guests here in the room, Rabbi Glatstein and Rabbi Naftali Glatstein. and we're also celebrating another Siyum, because this year Rav Meir and Rav Naftali produced on all the Parshas in the Torah Illuminated series. So we're making a Siyum not only on this series of Pninei Maggid Harakiah, we're also making a Siyum on the Torah Illuminated series. So many times I took Meir and Naftali to Maras HaMachpelah, and I want to tell you, we all know who's buried in the Maras HaMachpelah: Adam and Chava, Abraham and Sarah, Yitzchak and Rivka, Yaakov and Leah. The pasuk says that Hashem showed Moshe the Negev. Says Rashi, what did Hashem show Moshe in the Negev? The Maras HaMachpelah. Why is Hashem showing Moshe Rabbeinu the Maras HaMachpelah? If you look in Rashi says Hashem showed Moshe Rabbeinu the parts of Eretz Yisrael where we had tranquility and where we had destruction. But this is not a sightseeing tour. So why is Hashem showing Moshe Rabbeinu the Maras HaMachpelah? So you could say, I'm going to tell you a little chiddush, guys. The Yalkut Ruveni says that even though the pasuk says nobody knows where Moshe Rabbeinu is buried, we have a tradition Moshe Rabbeinu is buried in the Maras HaMachpelah. He has an underground passageway from Har Navoi all the way to the Maras HaMachpelah, and he could travel back and forth. So that's therefore Hashem showed Moshe Rabbeinu Maras HaMachpelah, because that's where he spends some time. Furthermore, Rashi brings that Hashem tells Moshe, go tell Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov that the shvuah, the oath that I swore to them, I fulfilled. I'm going to give Klal Yisrael Eretz Yisrael. So if that's the case, how's Moshe Rabbeinu supposed to tell Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov that Hashem fulfilled their oath? So Hashem has to show Moshe where the Avos are buried, so he could then go and tell Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov Hashem fulfilled his shvuah. Now, you know, the lashon of the pasuk, Vayikbar Oisai Bagai Ba'eretz Moav, and he buried him in the valley in the land of Moav, Mul Beis Par, opposite Beis Par. Nobody knew his burial until this day. Now, to me, it's very striking. It doesn't say nobody knew where he's buried. It says nobody knew his burial. You know what I think that means? Simply, it means nobody understood. Not nobody knew where he's buried. Nobody knows until today why he's buried opposite Beis Pa'ar. Even though, by the way, Rashi brings Moshe Rabbeinu's kever is opposite Baal Pa'ar, to be mechaper on the Baal Pa'ar, but don't think that's the real reason. The real reason is that he was buried opposite Beis Pa'ar, but nobody really knows why he's buried there. Yes, he's buried there to be mechaper, but the real reason, nobody really knows. Next, Ulechol Hayar HaChazaka. And all of his strong hand. I bet you most people, they interpret the pasuk, and all of his strong hand, that it's going on Hashem. You know, Moshe Rabbeinu did miracles, and the strong hand of Hashem. Rashi says not. Rashi says the strong hand is going on Moshe. That Moshe Rabbeinu accepted the Torah with his hands. Right? There was never a man like Moshe Rabbeinu. V'loi kam navi oid b'Yisrael ulechoil hayad hachazaka. Moshe's strong hand. And when it says, and all the great Moira, the miracles of Moshe, the strong hand is going on Moshe, not on Hashem. It comes out that we know we're commanded to emulate Hashem. We could even emulate Hashem, that just like Hashem has a yad chazaka, we can have a yad chazaka. Now, how did Moshe have a yad chazaka? Literally, he was makabel the Torah with his hands. But I don't think it just means physically he was able to carry the luchais. Whenever we talk about someone who has prowess in learning, we say, Yadav Rav Loi. His hands are strong to him. To learning you do with your hands. You know that? You can't just learn like that. So if your hands are tied, you can't learn. You need to learn with your hands. Hands reflect prowess in Torah. Another proof to this is, I believe the brother of the Vilna Gaon writes, Hakoil kol Yaakov v'hayadayim yudei Esav. When Klal Yisrael learns, we take the hands of Esav and we make them the hands of Yaakov. So it's possible to emulate Hashem's Yad Chazaka. How? When a person has prowess in learning, then they're emulating the Yad Chazaka of Hashem. Now this is something very interesting to me. And that is, what is the final message of the Torah? You would think that the final message of the Torah would be very important. So Rashi says, La'inei Kol Yisrael, that Moshe Rabbeinu had the ambition, his heart propelled him to break the luchais. Isn't that interesting? The final message of the Torah is Moshe Rabbeinu had ambition, had dreams in Ruchnias. And how did it express itself? He broke the luchais in front of the eyes of Klal Yisrael. It sounds like, you know what the biggest lesson of the life of Moshe Rabbeinu is? Moshe Rabbeinu was the most humble man who ever lived. Nevertheless, even though he had such a lowly opinion of himself on a personal level, at the same time he had the dichotomy that his heart was brimming with so much ambition and so much she'ifa for greatness that he could literally take the whole Torah and smash it to smithereens. One day I'm going to give a shir on what is a smithereen, but right now I can't explain what a smithereen is. But Moshe, of all the things that Moshe Rabbeinu did in his life, you know what the greatest lesson was? That even though he was so humble, his heart had great ambition to do things for the Jewish people. Nesiyas Halev, which Rabbeinu Yoina says is the foundation of the whole Torah. It's the, Rabbeinu Yoina writes in the Shari Tshuva, the Mailo Ha'elyoina of all the mitzvahs aseh is uvacharta b'chaim, to aspire to greatness. So at the one hand, Moshe Rabbeinu was the most humble man who ever lived. But on the other hand, he had such big dreams and aspirations to the point where he said that if Klal Yisrael is not observing the Torah, I have no choice but to shatter the luchais. That was the biggest limud we ever learned from Moshe Rabbeinu. So this concludes Be'ezus Hashem, our Shiurim, original insights on Vzos Haberacha. But Rabbi Isai, how could we conclude? We have to start again. So I'm going to share with you something, how Sukkot connects into Bereshis. Very simply. The Maril says, anyone who builds a sukkah, he becomes a shutuf. Oh, we have my good friend Rabbi Chaim Ziman live in studio. Anyone who say hello. Anybody who builds a sukkah, he becomes a partner with HaKadosh Baruch Hu in Masa Bereshis. So now that we build a sukkah, now we're ready for Sefer Bereshis. So that's how we segue Bereshis. That's how we segue the Yom Tov of Sukkot into Bereshis. So that begins us on our new cycle, and of course, this we're going to have one more segment. Not only your favorite time of the week, your favorite time of the year, imponderables on Vzos Haberacha.
Yes.